Okay.
Yeah, let me just make sure we're live in the right place and tag people like I promised.
Yep.
Anyone watching the replay, hi.
Okay.
We're live in the right place.
Yep.
Let me just tag everybody real quick. I promised I would because we were running a little bit late. All right. Hello, hello. We made it. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to be later than this. Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Okay.
I'm just settling in back into my body after a long day.
It has been a long day.
It's been a long couple weeks for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So on the topic of how to tell when source or God, whatever you want to call it, is trying to get your attention. 3 ways that source is trying to get your attention. Way 1.
Well, there's all kinds of different ways.
There are many.
And each one of those ways has in its own unique way many ways too. So the one that I'm most familiar with specifically is synchronicities. Seeing repeating numbers. It happens quite often for me, and it never ceases to amaze me, honestly, when it happens, because you're paying attention to doing other things, and all of a sudden you look down and it's 11:11 or 3:33 or 5:55 or something like that. And I guess one of the main points I wanted to drive at with this, we were just talking before we went live about this, and people call them angel numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, with angel numbers is you can go. There's like 100,000 websites that explain what a specific number means, but they explain it 100,000 different ways on each of these sites. It's one says, oh, if you see 444, that means that you are on the right path. It means get motivated. Positive changes are coming your way. So on, so on, so on. And then you go to another site, and 444 means you got to unblock your negative energies. It's telling you that you're on the wrong path. So I really don't rely on people's
I never look up the meanings. I do use numerology, though, of the numbers 1 through 10. Like if it's 3 3s, then I just use the numerology of 3, or you know what I mean? Because I know some numerology about the numbers 1 through 10 that I know them because they are valid in tarot.
Right.
And after learning how to, read the tarot, you start to learn. It is BS, isn't it, Lisa? Hi, Lisa.
I think
my friend Lisa's here.
Hi, Lisa. Glad to have you
Lisa
with us tonight.
lives in Scotland.
Scotland. Awesome. I went to visit Scotland very badly. I think that it's got some of the most beautiful landscapes
I really
I've
want
seen.
To see it too. We would love to visit you.
That would be amazing.
One of these days, we're going to make it there. One of these days.
Yeah, for sure. That would be an amazing trip.
Hi.
So, but yeah, like as you said, Lisa, it's BS. I mean, and I'm not saying that everybody is in one way accurate or another way inaccurate, but for me, what I find is easiest, just personally, is if I see repeating numbers that keep popping up on a day-to-day basis or every other day basis, and I catch maybe one a day or a few a day, I just simply take it as I'm doing something right. I'm on the right path. This is a sign that the way I'm living right now in the present moment is in accordance, I guess, a natural aligned harmony and flow with nature.
Sure, because it's creating synchronicity.
Yeah, aligned, that I'm aligned, and that what I'm doing, as long as I continue to be consistent in the way I am in flow now, everything will continue to be aligned, and to keep my focus and my intentions.
It's a reminder.
And that brings me more peace than knowing exactly what, instead of knowing exactly what a definition means, who really knows how to interpret those types of synchronicities. So
I think they're all open to interpretation. Like, I think what people put as a definition online that you could look up, it's really those are just a guide anyway. Really, sure. Each one of us can determine what it means for us.
Sure.
It's one of those things where, you get to decide.
Right.
It's kind of like witchcraft, like correspondences. Like, if you think that, some random thing is different than, one matches the energy of what you're trying to create over something that's, suggested online or on a correspondence sheet or whatever, then do what feels best for you always.
I think it brings people comfort too, to know.
Sure, people, because a lot of people will never get past like that initial planning it and actually do it if they're not sure that they're doing it right. I think that we let perfection stop us from a whole bunch of stuff, humans. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. I would say another, like, synchronicities, honestly, like, people call them coincidences, but I don't believe in coincidence. So
nope.
Another kind of sign I would say is, another type of synchronicity rather, is actually a few weeks ago I gave this example. Have any of you ever had that really bizarre situation where you'll be thinking of somebody all of a sudden out of nowhere, and then the very moment you start thinking about this person, they call you or they message you? It's really cool when it happens. I'm sure everybody here knows exactly what that's like. It must have happened at least a few times in your life. I think that, when those kinds of things happen, I think that you're meant to reach out to that person, and maybe not in that exact moment, like maybe you're not really needed in that moment, but I think that's a cue, a sign that maybe you need to be maybe a little more involved maybe with that person's life. I'm not really sure, because this is one of those synchronicities that it's hard to really interpret as well, because you don't really know why that happened until after something.
It might just be because they're thinking of you too.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to say. Like, I had a friend years and years and years and years ago that that happened to me with. I was thinking about them, and then they called me out of nowhere. And it wasn't until like a month or so later, after we started keeping in touch again, I found out that his mom was dying from cancer, and he really needed somebody to support him. And a lot of his friends were just not the kind of friends that he needed to be around. He trusted someone who was a little bit more down to earth, who wasn't involved with the kind of lifestyles that were unhealthy, and so he always was able to open up to me. We kind of distanced over time, and then we got back together, and communicated again, and got, communicating and catching up on life. And then that happened. And I felt like that was why, like, that synchronicity happened, and it was important that I stayed in touch with him, because he really needed me at that point in his life. Just things like that as an example. But there's many other ones too. It's just hard to really.
I can give you one for me that's been in hindsight, I can tell you that whenever it was time to leave a place, but I was too comfortable, things would persistently, oh gosh, why can't I think right now the right words? I said this to you earlier. Persistently and increasingly get worse on like a scalable, tangible, measurable way until finally, if I didn't leave, I was actually forced out of the way, like forced to leave, like fired from my job, you know, like arrested because I didn't go get help when I should have gotten help. Things like that.
I've been there too. Yeah. Totally relate to that.
I love you too, sweetie. Thank you so much for joining us. I would love to see what you guys have done over there. We would love to catch up. Let's set up something. We can catch up. See what you guys are into over there. We're going to do the van life thing too one of these days. We are saving up for a van. And so you'll be the first person I contact when we get close to that.
It's going to be awesome. Manifest. I want to see that manifested for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Go on the road.
But
that way you can go live with you guys like on the beach.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We're going to do that this summer anyway. We live near the beach.
That would be so
in Maryland.
Awesome.
I don't know who's here or if you guys know where we live or whatever. Who's all here? 7 sisters. The 7 sisters, the Pleiades. Anyways. So things getting persistently worse or persistently obvious that it's time to do something.
Take action. It is amazing how, like, when you are in the wrong place for too long, the universe pushes you. Like, it feels when you, in hindsight, like you said, it does feel literally like you're getting shoved out of the situation. Like,
hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for joining us. The topic is how to tell when you're getting a message from spirit, like how to tell when source energy or God or whatever you want to call it has something to tell you or wants something from you.
Get your attention.
And we were talking about synchronicity and we were talking about like repeating numbers. And then we were talking about how like sometimes when it's time to move on from a place or a situation, like things will like persistently and consistently get like worse or more uncomfortable. Like as time goes on, if you don't move until you're actually forced to make a move. And I think that happens in jobs. It happens in relationships. It happens in, you know, whenever you're in a situation where your time is up and you don't belong there anymore.
It could happen with
anything.
It could happen with family.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it can happen with anything. And so those are the 3 ways that I could think of off the top of my head. What other ways can you tell that there's message? Sometimes messages come through other people, especially people that you don't know. Like when, I don't know, you're walking past somebody in the grocery store and they just decide to say something to you that seems off the wall at the time and like kind of makes no sense. But then like later in hindsight, you realize that like that was an angel that spoke to you, or that was, you know, a messenger from God or from source, or, you know, that spirit was speaking through them.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times too.
Hey, Mandy. What's up, girlfriend? Thanks so much for joining us. It's good to see you.
Yeah. When people like come along at a time when you really need to hear a message, or randomly comes like it could even be a song. Like you'd be thinking maybe like of how to deal with a situation. and then all of a sudden a song will come on,
or like a video suggestion, or like
something like that. Yeah.
Content online on social media pops up and like tells you something that you wanted to hear or that you needed to hear. For me, it happens sometimes, like I'll be at work and I'll be in a bad mood and like I don't want to deal with people that day. Sometimes like I'm just moody and I don't feel like dealing with it. And then like the most gracious, like patient and kind customer will come in and like just makes me soften and be like, people are great after, maybe I do like people after all. You sometimes like people can make your whole day,
Yeah, they can.
And I do think that they're sent for a reason. Those people, like there's a reason. I feel like there is a reason why we are. I think that there's a reason why we are in people's lives. Like people are in your life at a certain time for a reason. And what was the analogy that I had heard at one point? That your life is like a train ride, and like there'll be passengers that are on the train when you in the beginning of your trip, and passengers will step off when their part of the journey is done, and other passengers will come on. And a lot of passengers will stay with you for a certain amount of time and then they leave, and others will come on and leave. And then you have, a couple passengers or maybe just one passenger that will stay with you through the whole journey. Others will just come on to spend the last leg of your journey with you, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the things, too, that I wanted to also touch on, I thought we gave some good examples. Whether, synchronicities definitely are one of those. Well, it's not one of those. It's basically the fundamental way that signs come into your life that get your attention, whether it be through people, be through music, it'd be through friends or strangers, it'd be through repeating numbers. The thing is too that's very important is how to look, how to be aware, because if you're not looking, then it won't have any foundation. It won't have the impact on your life that it's supposed to have if you aren't aware of what is trying to get your attention. Like, if you look hard enough and if you are patient in the way you perceive these signs, then eventually, the answer will come to you.
If you feel your third eye or your heart chakra open suddenly when you weren't intentionally trying to do it, then absolutely that's like you're energetically preparing for a download. Yeah.
The problem with people a lot today when it comes to things like this is I find and I've seen like how people struggle with expectations. They expect things to be a certain way, therefore they're not really looking. They're waiting for signs, but they're not looking. They're not keeping an openness to them. They are expecting things to fall out of the sky in a specific manner.
Well, people also, not only are they expecting it to be a specific manner, people think that the universe, the forces that be, communicates like we do, but it doesn't. It communicates in emotion, and it communicates in symbolism.
Yep.
And it communicates in metaphors. And that's something that I suggest anyone who wants to get good at communicating with divinity outside of themselves, because you have it inside of you too. But outside of you, it's going to come in a different way. And I suggest getting familiar maybe with like myths and mythology and even symbolism and metaphors, But also, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you can choose what your symbols are. So when I first started working with my intuition, my teacher said to ask spirit for a proof in the real, she called it. So like a sign in the real world that was from them to tell me that like I was really connecting with something greater than myself and that I was communicating with something greater than myself. And I chose a feather. And I asked for proof in the real. And then some of you might have heard this before. And then the next day, I was living in Philadelphia on the third floor. My room was on the third floor, and there was a balcony outside my room. And like I hear this commotion, all the girls are screaming out back. I was living with a bunch of women at the time. And I go out there, and there's a pigeon burst, and the feathers were everywhere. Blood and feathers were everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, that pigeon just combusted. And then I was like, oh, wow, be careful what you wish for. I asked for a feather. And I was laughing because, you know, like I felt like that's like a careful what you wish for type of thing. Like you asked for a feather. Well, I'll just, you know, explode the whole bird. And I'm like, no, man, I was really upset. But still to this day, I find feathers when I need reassurance that I'm doing the right thing or that I'm going in the right direction. I find them all the time for no reason. The store that I manage is about, I don't even know. It's like, wow, a couple 100 feet, like deep, right?
Yeah, about 100, 150.
Yeah. So halfway in, there's curtains, and like separates the store. So it's like a good 50 feet or more in the store. Sometimes I'll be standing at the desk and I'll turn around and there'll be a feather on the floor. Like, how'd the feather get from inside all the way to the middle of the store? It's a big store all by itself, just sitting there. That type of stuff. Yeah. That type of stuff happens all the time. You could pick whatever you want. It could be butterflies. It could be snowflakes. It could be, you know, anything.
Oh, another thing too that's really cool is everybody has like a spirit animal, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like my
some have a few.
My Native American spirit animal is a woodpecker, and
we just saw one the other day.
Yeah,
the other morning out back, and it was big. It was beautiful, but I caught it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, "Oh, look!"
So, like I was saying previously, though, like when it comes to things like that, like, you know, when I saw the woodpecker, I knew that even though I didn't see it first, it was there, and it's one of those birds, especially the size that it was. It's one of those birds that you rarely see, especially when you live out in the woods with a lot of homes. You don't really see that much of a variety of birds, but you know, rarely have I seen this bird, even though I know that that's what my spirit animal is. So I knew that there was something to it, and I honestly haven't even gone to look up, you know, what the Native American meaning is, you know, at least historically, what that specific symbol means. But I would trust, you know, the Native Americans to give me a little bit more of an accurate interpretation of the meaning rather than I would angel numbers.
Oh, I always go to Native Americans if I need something.
But as I was saying before, though, like it's about how you see. It's not about the way you seek, but it's how you see. It's about how you bring in awareness to these things.
Well, it's the same way as like there's just certain things you resonate with, like words. Like you and I might be aware that when we say spirit guides, angels, ancestors, guides, your higher self, intuition, like all of these, God, spirit, they can be used interchangeably, right? Some of us are more comfortable with some words than others, some ways to describe it than others. You know what I mean? But and that's fine. Use what you have to use. Like, that's totally fine. I feel like society is finally getting to a point where others are starting to realize that really it's all the same too, and that these words can be interchangeable, but I've always identified more with Great Spirit and Native American terms like, the moon is your sister and the sun is your brother. And so it's more of an ancestral thing with Native Americans. And the funny thing is that I was born in this country, but I don't have Native American blood. But for some reason, I resonate more with their teachings than I ever did with the teachings of, that I grew up with.
No, they were very in tune with nature, like you are. So,
yeah, I got a thing for nature. Nature's my thing. That's for sure. So synchronicities, repeating numbers, people popping in and out of your mind, popping in and out of your life, situations getting persistently uncomfortable, more and more uncomfortable, signs that it's time to move. It's time to move on. Opportunities being brought to the surface, situations changing in a way that makes things more and more obvious that it's time to make a move. Those kinds of things. Messages through other people, symbols, metaphors. That's a lot more than 3 ways to tell that God is, or source is trying to give you a message.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Guys, I would love to stay for longer, but I am exhausted. I am. I'm getting old. No, I'm not getting old. It's just that I work way too much right now. We went back to 10-hour days, and I just really don't like them. I was fine at 8-hour days. I just really don't like them. I did my schedule for this week. I'm working 78 hours this week.
Jeez. Wow. Yikes.
Yeah, because they're 10-hour days now.
Yeah.
I worked 58 hours last week.
That's intense.
It's okay. The money's good. My job ain't that hard.
That's intense, though.
But it's just a lot. I just don't feel, I take time to myself when I'm there and everything because there's downtime, but it's going to start getting busy soon.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So before
I got to be up early for a meeting.
Yeah, that's true too. So before we go,
boring.
Is there any questions regarding the topic tonight? I mean,
yes, please always bring your questions. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. We're so happy to have you guys here. It's so awesome to be able to share this space with you guys and to be able to hang out and talk with you guys and to connect with you guys.
You guys are awesome.
Any questions?
I love questions. So
we'll definitely be back next Monday. But before then, I'm hoping to be able to come back in and maybe do some sort of maybe a different kind of live.
What do you
like do a meditation or something? Like a live meditation. What do you guys think? You guys want to do a live meditation this week? I've been getting back into meditating more now than I have before. It's like with all this time being taken up outside of my house and not being home a lot and not having as much time to myself as I was before, I feel like meditating is increasingly more important for me to like keep my center. And so maybe we could do a live meditation and I can share a little bit of that medicine with you guys. If there are any topics you guys are interested in that you want us to talk about, please comment them in the group. Send us a DM. Let us know.
Since we're talking,
if you guys, if you come up with a topic that you'd like to talk about and you're knowledgeable about it, why don't we bring you on the live with us and we can have a whole discussion. You can come on live with us. We would love to have any of you on, Lisa, Mandy.
Yeah.
Just tell us what you want to talk about. We'll set up the date and we'll have you on live. We'll do like a podcast type of thing. I would love that.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you both this week at some point, and we can talk about maybe setting something up like that in the future. I know I would love to do that with our friend Alaya too. She's not here this evening, but she's usually here.
Since we're going to be doing meditation,
yeah,
it would
live.
be really beneficial to maybe even talk about the healing effects that meditation can have on you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could talk about that. I also love talking about the science behind manifestation. I love talking about that. It's my favorite. Because I always thought manifestation was so cool. And I always thought that like there's the law of attraction teachings, not all of them, but the main ones that are just always struck me as like truth, you know? And I know that there are some teachings and like that are a little off base or, you know, that are incorrect intentionally, probably to misguide people. But the basis of universal law is actually strikes me as a deep truth. And when I started to get into quantum physics, not that I'm good at it or that I know very well, you know it well enough to be able to explain it. But when I read it and I comprehend it and I take a look at the experiments that have been done, some of which are in the guides here, it's fascinating to me that like you can pretty much prove, in my opinion, now mainstream science does not agree with me, but I think that quantum physics has basically proven that that our thoughts and our beliefs affect our reality, maybe not directly, but they affect our reality nonetheless, and that there is a link there between them.
Well, even just us observing reality changes it. So,
and that's another thing. So that means that your truth is subjective. Oh. Your truth may not be somebody else's truth because they're not looking through your perception. And that's interesting. That's interesting.
Well, isn't that what? Well, that's what Hermes Trismet.
Yes.
Trismet. Oh my gosh! Why can't I get it out? I can't get it out.
It's a long, silly name. Everybody knows who you mean.
Hermes.
The thrice great and Trismegistus.
I just embarrassed myself.
No, you didn't.
Hermes mentioned in the
long Greek name.
And it's funny.
The guy from Ancient Aliens. I call him Snuffleupagus.
I say it right any other day of the week, but for some reason tonight I can't get it out. But anyway, Hermes says in the Hermetica that every truth is a half truth and every lie is a half lie. You know, so
because it's all in it's in the eye of the beholder,
right?
Because our perspective and our specific lens, the way we view the world, literally creates our truth. It's fascinating.
Absolutely.
I love being on the leading edge of these kinds of conversations, you know.
I find that doing these kind of conversations with people, though,
a temple live, that's amazing,
is really fun too. Like,
oh yeah,
because you find yourself diving deeper into a rabbit hole of how everything is conscious. You know, everything down to the quantum level, the atomic level of reality, at its very base, at the very edge of all things that is existence, is a conscious thought. It's a mind holding it all together. And if you really, you know, the craziest, most exciting thing about talking about that stuff is really like at the base, you know, we're nothing but atoms.
Matter doesn't even exist.
We're nothing but atoms.
Matter.
Studying atoms, trying to figure out where it's all coming from. So we're atoms looking at atoms, trying to figure out where atoms come from. And that's a fun thought to me, you know, that we are everything, trying to figure out where everything came from. So
it's wild. This is some crazy time to be alive too.
X.
Because a generation before this, No one knew this kind of stuff. It's awesome. Science is like right on the brink of proving spirituality is a thing, like proving the existence of a higher intelligence. And I'm here for it. All right. I'm going to go before I fall asleep sitting here. I'm sleepy. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We were talking about the power of 3 last night, too. That's a conversation we could talk about, Lisa, if you want to talk about that one night on a live.
Yeah, that is a fun conversation.
That would be a good one.
The Trinity of Trinities, mind, body, spirit, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It goes on and on. Like, we're made of 3 elements in reality that the whole universe is made of. We're made of the same thing. And the Trinity just continues to repeat and all the way down as well to the atomic level. Everything is fractal in nature. Everything's a mirror image of itself. It's quite amazing. And people say that there's no mind, there's no creator, there's no intelligence behind any of this. And that's just I just don't understand it, but I get, hey, it's
that was like more recently when I stopped talking to a friend I knew for years and years, and they said to me, "You're not special. I'm not special. None of this even means anything." And I was like, I'm really sorry that you don't think you're special and you think that all of this is for nothing and that nothing means anything. Like, I'm really sorry that you feel like that. Like, I feel bad for you and I'm sorry. But like, I can't sit here and listen to your doubts running around in my mind anymore. I got shit to do. I'll come back later when you're not going to affect me as much. Awesome. Joe Dispenza? Is that what you're talking about, Dr. Joe? Or are you talking about that other show that you go on? What's it called? I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the person's name, and I can't remember the name of the show. Anyways, let me know. We'll come watch. We'll come join. All right, guys. It's always nice to connect. And even like when we're tired and we're exhausted, or when I'm tired and I'm exhausted, I still love to come on here anyway, even if I don't have a whole lot to say, just because I love connecting with you guys. And like, that's the whole point of it all. I would really love for this to like become a real community. I'm still trying to figure out how to make that happen, but I'm grateful for you all. I love you both. Have a wonderful evening. And anyone watching the replay, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for showing up. Love and light.